Hi, I'm Vanessa Torres, and welcome to my podcast. Over the years, I've navigated through the highs and lows of life, rebuilt my life alongside my husband and two daughters when we left beautiful British Columbia and had to start from scratch in search of a better life for our family. I've struggled to find my own identity outside of being a wife and a mother. And like me, there's so many of us that are trying to find our purpose, have a voice, and simply try to be the best versions of ourselves. Join me on this journey to discover and become that woman you can be proud of. We'll peel back the curtains and discuss topics on lifestyle, marriage, motherhood, walking in our faith, and what it takes to reach the other side of fear, and so much more. Think of me as your girl having a glass of wine and deep diving on meaningful, raw, and unscripted conversations. This is the place where you can be fierce, bold, and unapologetic. This is That Woman Podcast. Hey, friends, and welcome back to That Woman Podcast, the podcast that helps women embrace the journey of finding self-purpose, grow their faith, and become the best version of themselves one day at a time. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you're here. Last week, we unpacked some of the lies that social media tries to sell us, like the unrealistic bounce-back body after having a baby, or the pressure to have a picture-perfect, spotless home. And as I was going through these lies, especially the ones about the home, it got me thinking. We are often bombarded with these polished images of what the perfect home is supposed to look like. But have we stopped to ask ourselves what actually makes a house a home? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. Today, I will be sharing 5 ways to turn your house into a home. And maybe you clicked on this episode because that word home spoke to your heart. And I totally get it because having a house, it's more than just a place to live. Home is a feeling, it's the heart of your living space. I know how busy life is. Some days just getting dinner on the table feels like a miracle. But even in the middle of laundry piles, tantrums, and rushed mornings, God is there and He wants us to help create more than just a living space. He wants to help us build a holy space. So let's get settled in and talk about turning your house into a home, one rooted in peace, presence, and purpose. The first way we can turn our house into a home is by making sure there is peace and safety. Let's begin with peace because peace is one of the first things you should feel when you walk into a home. And it's not about how clean the kitchen is, although having a tidy home is important, but it's also about the spirit of the home. How does it feel to you when you walk into your living space? Does it feel calm? Does it feel like a place where you can breathe? For me, that peace also ties in with safety. And safety in my home goes way beyond locking doors. I'm referring to emotional safety. No yelling, no raised voices. And let me be honest with you guys, this can be very hard within my Latin culture because we are just naturally very loud people, especially when we are trying to express ourselves. And I'm referring to my family specifically. I'm sure there are lots of Hispanic families out there that aren't as loud as others. But when my husband and I got together, we had to learn to create a space that felt safe and peaceful for our kids. And that was very hard, especially at the beginning. For us, there wasn't a lot of stability in our early years. We moved around a lot. And so that kind of disrupts the ability to form a culture of peace within the home. We also were not in the best place in our relationship those early years. We were still in that learning mode that a lot of couples go through, especially when you start living together. You are practically getting to know each other and trying to blend your likes, your dislikes, habits, and routines into one that works for both of you. So that also created a lot of tension within our home. But by the grace of God, 15 years later, we are now in a completely different season with our marriage and our life. So we always try to be more intentional about making sure we create that sense of peace and security for our kids within the home. We try to pray together as a family, especially before bed. And I use the word try because if you're like me with a very big family or just a very busy life, you know that it can be challenging to arrange everyone's schedule and fit everything in and stay consistent with a routine. But we try our best to include daily prayer as a family, not only because I want my daughters to end their day knowing they're covered in God's protection, but I also want to create a sense of unity in the home. There's something so sacred about ending the day with prayer. It literally shifts the entire atmosphere. One of the moments I most feel the Holy Spirit in my home is early in the morning when the house is still, everything's quiet, the sun is coming up, and I can just sit in that quiet, just me and God. Whether I'm reading the Bible or just reflecting, I feel this overwhelming peace come over me, and my soul feels calm. And I know the Holy Spirit is there. We've also set some boundaries in place that help protect that peace, like no phones at the dinner table, or if we're spending time together as a family, playing a game or watching a movie. And we're also really intentional about what we allow into our space, meaning no scary or dark content. I am very big on that. I listen to a lot of faith based podcasts and shows on YouTube because it keeps the atmosphere centered on God's love and His truth. Peace in the home doesn't happen by accident, it's something that we build brick by brick, prayer by prayer. All right, so let's move on to one of my favorite things when it comes to making your house feel like a home. Number two, creating a cozy home. There's a Danish and Norwegian concept called hygge. Maybe you've heard of it, but basically, this word translates to a mood or a feeling of coziness, creating warmth, presence, and finding happiness and joy in your environment. That is exactly what I want my home to feel like. To me, hygge means creating a space where gratitude and joy are felt in the simple things. It's not about having the nicest decor or that picture perfect space we talked about earlier. It's about being present and feeling calm, being wrapped up in comfort and feeling grounded in your home. This is also connected to spiritual rest. We can create a sense of spiritual rest by doing very small but significant things in our home, like lighting a candle or turning on a diffuser, cooking a meal. And let me tell you, scent is actually another factor, a huge factor, for making your space feel more homey. The smell of freshly baked cookies, banana bread, or a butternut squash pumpkin soup on a rainy or cold day is unlike anything else. And there's something about those moments that bring me into the presence of God. It slows me down, it keeps me present in the now, and it reminds me that He's with me in the quiet and in the ordinary moments. Another one of my favorite ways to create a cozy moment is sitting by the window with the sunlight pouring in. And this can be in the morning when the sun is rising or in the afternoon when the sun is setting. But sitting there, just breathing, praying, meditating, and feeling God's warmth, it doesn't get more hygge than that. Realistically speaking, it can be hard to pause and slow down in order to create these moments, but rest matters, not just physical rest, but soul and emotional rest. We need a reset from time to time, and I really like that hygge reminds me to carve out those pockets of presence where I can just be and invite God into that stillness. Okay, so number three, home is the first school. If you're a mom, an aunt, or a grandma, then you know that there is sacred responsibility when it comes to parenting. Specifically, the fact that our homes are the first schools that children will ever attend. Your home is your children's first classroom. They learn at home and they learn from us. And that can feel overwhelming, but it's also one of the greatest privileges God has given us. Proverbs 22:6 tells us, train children in the right way, and when old, they will not stray. I think about this verse a lot, especially on the days that are hard. I am repeating myself for the 10th time or met with whining and pushback because parenting isn't just about teaching with words. It's about teaching with your life, how you handle stress, how you respond to mistakes, how you speak to others, how you apologize when you mess up. One of the most humbling moments I've had recently was when I was at the grocery store. I was rushing and trying to get through the aisles, and I told Natalia, one of my daughters, to move, except I didn't exactly ask her in the nicest way. And she stopped, looked at me, and said, Mom, next time, can you please try asking me in a nicer way? Ouch. That one hit me hard. But she was right. And in that moment, I said to her, You are absolutely right. I could have asked you in a much nicer tone. I'm sorry. I will try my best to say it in a nicer way next time. That's the lesson. Our kids are watching. They hear what we say, but more than that, they absorb how we live, how we treat them, how we treat others, and sometimes they turn around and reflect it right back at us. There was another time when we were at the lake with family, and I noticed my oldest helping her grandmother and aunt get lunch ready without being asked. Then she checked on her younger sister to make sure she had sunscreen on before swimming. It was one of those moments that made me pause and say, wow, they are really listening to what we tell them and what we teach them. And the seeds I've planted, they're taking root. But I know it's not always easy. The hardest part for me has been the constant pushback I get. The mom, that's not fair, and the why do I have to do it? Why can't she do it? And when you are trying to discipline or hold that boundary, that can be very hard. That stuff wears on you, especially if you are a single mom or if you are someone that is spending the majority of the time with your kids at home. But here's what I come back to. If I don't follow through, if I let the whining or the pushback dictate what I allow, then I'm teaching my kids that they're entitled and that there are no consequences and that their wants matter more than teaching them wisdom. And that is not the legacy I want to leave. Discipline is love. God disciplines us to shape our hearts. We're called to do the same for our children, and that starts in the home. So even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, I lean on grace, I stay consistent, and I keep showing up because every moment shapes them. Rather than letting the world shape their hearts with values that don't reflect our faith, being the first teachers in their home gives us the chance to plant seeds of truth early on, seeds of faith, love, and integrity. And with God's help, I want to steward that calling well. Number four, let's shift to the heart of the home, the memories. Because more than anything, I believe that what makes a house a home is the moments and the connection you create with your loved ones. And you don't have to go all out, this doesn't have to be extravagant. Some of our most sacred memories as a family have been the simplest. We have a few traditions in our home, like movie nights, pizza nights, game nights, nothing fancy, but those traditions, as simple as they may seem, make such a difference. They're the times we laugh, unplug, and just enjoy each other. No distractions, no rush, just us. Creating small family traditions in your home gives you that intentional bonding time that kids never forget. And to be honest, when I'm in those moments of laughter during a card game or in the quiet of watching a movie, I take a moment to pause and just take it all in. I'm reminded of a passage in the Bible in Luke chapter 2, verse 19, where it says, Mary treasured all these things, pondering them in her heart. Just like Mother Mary, I want to absorb those moments and treasure those memories in my heart. Beyond traditions, some of the most powerful memories are built in the quiet, tender moments. When my daughters feel safe enough to open up to me, when they share their hearts, when they crawl into bed at night, not because they're scared, but because they want to be with me. Those are the moments that remind me this is what it's all about. Even on the busiest days, we can make time for intentional connection. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can look like playing music they love and singing with them, or sneaking into their rooms before bed and chatting, asking how their day was or what made them smile. With my husband, we do date nights at home, even if it's just watching a show together with snacks after the girls have gone to bed. But those little moments keep us connected. Because here's the truth, guys, memories don't make themselves, they require intention. And when life feels chaotic, when everything else is screaming for your attention, family has to be prioritized, not just penciled in when it's convenient for you. Let's start building moments with our family in the same way. It's about choosing connection even when life is busy. Because one day they'll look back and it won't be about the size of the house or how clean it was. It'll be about how it felt. Was it joyful? Was it safe? Did they laugh here? Were they heard here? That's the kind of home I want to build. The last thing when it comes to turning your house into a home is a place of service. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever your task, work heartily as serving the Lord." As women, we're often the caretakers, not just the caretakers of our family, but also caretakers of where we live. And while there's beauty in that role, it's also a role that can weigh very heavily on us. The day to day tasks like cooking, cleaning, folding laundry, managing everyone's emotions and schedules, it can take a lot out of you. But here's what God keeps reminding me of: these aren't just tasks, they are acts of service, they are acts of love. And they are opportunities to reflect Jesus, who didn't come to be served, but to serve. Whether you are meal planning or organizing the closet, those are ways you're loving. You're making your home a place of order, a place where your people can rest, refuel, and grow. Even something as simple as crawling into the playpen to sit with your baby or cleaning up after everyone else, you're showing up. And through these acts of serving, you are saying to God, "This is my offering for you today." Right now, for example, my husband is working out of town, and that's meant a lot more responsibility falling on my shoulders. I'm holding things down at home, taking care of the house, being there for our daughters, trying to be emotionally present, spiritually anchored, and finding time to rest and reconnect with God. It's a lot. And I'll be honest, this season is stretching me in every way possible. But I also believe this season, this sacred, challenging, hidden work is exactly how God is training me, training my heart to be patient, training my mind to stay focused on what matters, training my body to push through and rely on His strength, not mine. Because service, especially in the home, isn't meant to be glamorous. I don't think I'm alone in this when I say that it's common as a wife and or as a mom to feel like what we do in the home is not always appreciated. There are a lot of things we do that often goes quiet and unnoticed, and it leads us to feel like we have nothing valuable to offer or what we do doesn't matter. But I've learned a very important lesson. It's not about recognition. These are opportunities in which we can express our love for others in our home, but especially our love for God. These opportunities can show up in our life even in the smallest ways that we might not even think of. For example, my baby, Noelle, just turned 11 months old. I just can't believe how fast she's growing. And as it goes with babies, they go through unpredictable changes sometimes. They go through growth spurts, maybe they're teething, whatever it may be. but she's been waking up more than usual throughout the night, and I've been a little extra exhausted. However, in those moments when I'm so tired and I'm just wishing she could just fall back asleep, I stop and think, okay, this is my opportunity to express love and show love to God. This is an opportunity to serve. Being a mother is a vocation, it's a calling. And so this is what I'm called to do. I am called to offer up every single sacrifice, every single sleepless night. I'm called to offer up those tiny sacrifices to God as an expression of love. And what matters is that God sees with how much love we do these things. Whether we realize it or not, these acts of service in the home have an impact. Every meal you cook, every bedtime story you read, every act of care, this kind of service creates the spiritual essence of your home. It's what turns ordinary routines into moments of sacred offering. And even when it's hard, when it feels like no one notices, when you're doing it alone, it matters. If you're in a season of serving behind the scenes right now, I just want to encourage you. You are not alone, and you are doing something that I don't think you even realize just how powerful and beautiful it is. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to do it all. But whatever you do, don't see it as a burden or just another mundane, boring task. See it as something you are offering to your family and to God. By doing so, you are also creating a space that your children, your husband, and your loved ones want to be in. That's what God is teaching me most in this season, that there is joy in serving. There is humility in doing the dishes. There is grace in meeting everyone's need before your own. And when I lay down my comfort to love others well, it becomes an act of worship, a way to say to God, this home is yours. These hands are yours. Use them to bless the ones you've given me. So, friend, maybe today you're looking around your house and thinking, this doesn't feel like the peaceful, cozy, sacred home I want it to be. And that's okay. Invite God in and ask Him to bring peace where there's been stress. Light a candle, create a little corner of stillness and quiet, pray with your kids before bed. You are building something really special, a sanctuary, a place of peace, love, memory, and service. And I promise, God sees every quiet sacrifice, every whispered prayer, every meal made with tired hands. And when we embrace it with love and intention, we're not just managing a household, we're turning it into a home. Thank you for spending time with me today. Please know that I am praying for your home and your heart. And as always, keep on striving to be that woman you can be proud of. I'll see you guys next week.